The Swamp is the fourth episode of season 2 of Avatar: Last Airbender, the greatest show of all time, at least in my opinion. Hopefully yours too. And it's an episode I don't remember too fondly, honestly. I feel like it's mostly remembered in the community for the top teaser nowadays. And that's why today I will see if it's truly forgettable or simply just a little cliche. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below which episode I should do a breakdown on next. And without further ado, let's get right into it. The opening of this episode is quite unique, honestly, since we don't start on the gang, but on Zuko and Iroh. And I don't believe this is a bad thing. This is a great thing since Zuko and Iroh really steal the show. It's a really great scene. Iroh is extremely charming. How can you hate this man? This man is just, oh, I love him so much, and his energy is just infectious in so many ways, and he doesn't have a shameful bone in his entire body. I love that man. And on that note, it really shows their different views on life, and that's kind of what this little scene is for, is to show or build up to when Zuko leaves Iroh in a few episodes. And we really see why that would be. Zuko and Iroh has completely different worldviews and views on life in general. Iroh is more optimistic. He believes the best in people and he has no pride, while Zuko is the opposite. He's a pessimist and he believes the worst in people, and his pride is larger than the whole world sometimes. And that's why these two make such a good duo. And this time is kind of a little underrated. I honestly wish we had a bit more. We do get one more scene of these two, and that's all we get. Those two scenes. This first one, the opening, and the final scene, which is a little poetic. But I honestly wish we had a bit more. It's such an interesting dynamic now that they are on the run, and this early season 2 period before Zuko leaves is kind of underutilized in the show, honestly, in my opinion. But back to the actual scenes. The last scene is Zuko stealing the swords of the man, taunting them in the opening scene, and it is amazing. Seeing the blue spirit again is incredible. When I was younger, I had a blue spirit skin for my Minecraft. I made that and imported it, and my name was like the Blue Spirit 88 or something. So just so you know, like, I love the blue spirit, and oh my god, I love this scene. It's the right amount of tense. It's short, it's sweet, it's just and it just follows the opening perfectly. It shows where Zuko is in his journey, that honor is becoming less and less important as desperation sets in. The first season, it was all about hope, how capturing the Avatar would fix everything magically and he could go back home and nothing would have happened. While the second season is about acceptance. Zuko has no longer any delusions of coming home since after Azula tried to make him a prisoner. Now he questions if honor has any value, and therefore he kind of throws it to the side. The inner struggle that Zuko continuously struggles with, and I love how it's just continually evolving over the time. It's really three-dimensional and makes Zuko feel real, and that's what makes him such a good character. You really feel for him and relate to his every decision, honestly. Let's move back to the beginning of the episode, and after the Zuko and Iroh scene, we get a scene of the gang flying over the swamp, and we go straight into it. This time there's no banter, there's no camping. We go direct into the story, and that works since we already have the opening shot or scene with Zuko and Iroh. So we go directly into it, and it really portrays the mysterious nature of the swamp in a good way. It first calling them and then basically forcing them to crash. Used the intrigue, really. It's a great way to start off the story for that mystery. It's also good that it traps them without Appa, so it makes logically sense that they don't just fly away after. And it also gives an opportunity for our heroes to do a little soul searching on their own. Also, the predator lurking in the bushes is kind of cliche, and that's a problem with this episode in general. It's very cliche. This type of episode is pretty common in TV series, like the group splitting up to face their fears in a deceitful maze of some sort. That kind of episode. I know you know what I mean, and I can't really think of it too much in my head right now, but I promise you there's a lot of those going around. And it's not breaking any new ground. It works well enough anyway, since we have such a strong cast of characters. It leans on the character work that's done before during the season, and since the first season is so good and the beginning of the second season is even better, it can lean on that work is already done, so it doesn't have to be too creative with the parameters of the episode. Although I have one more problem with this opening is that they hit the ground way too hard when they get thrown down by the tornado. Man, how the heck does anyone survive that? That is impossible. I just wish they threw a little softer. There's no way anyone survived that. Yeah, just watch that. That's like they dead. Like they are dead. 100% period. Point blank. But anyway, enough of that rant. The main meat and potatoes of this, the main course, is the individual meeting their fears part of the episode, if you understand me right. So first up is Katara, and she thinks she sees her mom, and that makes sense. That's her central inciting incident in her life, so it makes sense that she sees her mom. And although it doesn't really take a step in any direction, it kind of only reminds of this trauma. It doesn't really solve anything or move forward in any way like the trauma does in the Southern Raiders, where we really get a conclusion to that story. Here it doesn't get anything too special. For Sokka, which is next up, he facing the death of Yue, which is way more fresh. We only got that a few episodes, and he never really got to mourn her, so I feel like that has more impact. He also get a little bit more time. The Katara one is really quick. It's just a little scene. She's trying to reach out and then realizes it's not her mom. But here we get a little bit more. He tries to explain it away with natural phenomenon, and that makes sense for Sokka's character. He is the logical, the scientific one, so his emotional beat here hit a little harder, and we move on a little bit more with his character and his trauma. Aang, however, is a little special, and not that just only that he's the Avatar, but the fact that he meets or he sees Toph, which is a great teaser and the main thing you remember and take away from this episode, honestly. So they do a great job with that. However, logically, it just makes more sense for it to be Gyatso, since the people that Katara and Sokka see are dead loved ones that died tragically. So if there's a Gyatso, would be more emotionally impactful here. Aang doesn't really have any emotional resonances. We don't know Toph yet, so it's a good teaser, but we don't know who she is. So she's only here in retrospect when you rewatch the episode. She only here, it's like, oh, that's Toph, I know that. Nothing else really, while Katara and Sokka, especially Sokka, gets some more character work done. While the soul-searching scenes goes on, we have a little scenes in between where Appa and Momo just floating down the river, not too much going on, just stupid fun, them getting chased, Appa trying to escape from the swamp people, and it's a good little break from the paranoia from the A plot. So this B plot is just more calm down, more laid back, more funny. Get some humor in there, throwing pants. So it's a great little palate cleanser from the main plot. One thing that did surprise me on my rewatch is how good the fight scenes are. We get two proper fight scenes. The first one is the one that splits them up, and the second one is the final one. The first one is a good excuse to separate them. We really get like a good fight scene, but at the same time we're moving the plot along. It's mysterious. It's like nature itself is attacking the vines coming from out of the shadows. It's scary. We get moves from all three. All three get their times to shine. So yeah, it's got a good pace. It's nothing too special, but it really does a job in its story. The final one is a little bit better in my opinion versus the monster. It's intimidating, it's in creative use of bending. The regeneration of the vines makes him feel way more unbeatable. Like they put a huge hit in him, they just concentrate all the fire and he just regenerates. It makes him feel like a wall, like an impenetrable barrier that you cannot get through. Like he's unstoppable, he's unbeatable. So they really nailed that down perfectly. It's also nice that Katara gets some proper action, because she hasn't really gotten any chance to show how good she got after the North Pole. Since in season 2 we haven't seen her in many fight scenes. In that first fight scene in the Avatar stage, she's defeated in seconds almost. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good episode. It's definitely better than I remember. We get some good characterization, some philosophy, great world building, which makes the world feel huge, and also a sprinkle of creative action and bending. The lesson in the end about how everything is connected not only fits into the world, but also the episode and solves the main conflict in the end by finding Appa and Momo. It unfortunately has some flaws. Breaking up the gang is always a little risky since it kind of hinders the show's main group dynamic. It's also pretty cliche, that's probably the biggest. It's the type of episode, this maze soul searching kind of thing. It's really obvious. I mean, don't take as big of a leap as I wish we did. The only one I feel like we're moving forward in the story is Sokka, where he's getting over the death of Yue, but Katara and especially Aang don't move forward as characters too much, so I just wish they capitalized on the opportunity a little bit more, let's say. In total, this episode is not top tier, but it's not bottom tier either. It's something in between. It's not up there with Zuko alone, but it's not down there with The Great Divide. It's somewhere in the middle, somewhere like The Fortune Teller, around there. Definitely watchable, not a skip. Yeah, that was all I had for you today. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for one new breakdown each Thursday. It will really help this channel out. Comment down below which episode you think I should cover next. But until next time, have a great week.